All right, take three. Oh, good Lord. Uh, uh, I didn't. I'm trying, guys. I'm running the struggle bus here. I apologize. The take two. I didn't realize when I was cutting to the pictures that the mic settings were different. What do you do? Oh Christ! All right. So the whole point of this was to do an update um, on what was going on with my Bontech upgrade kit that I got sent that sucks. There's really there's no better way to put it. It's the Bondtech LGX Lite Pro upgrade kit for the K1 series printers. This one specifically was for my K1 Max. The K1 Max that you can see, ooh, there you go, right there in the background, that is torn apart. Yep. Still torn apart because I don't have replacement parts, and as of right now, I don't have tracking information for the parts I was told was going to get sent today. It's it's tomorrow in Sweden. It's 12:45 in Sweden. Um, so I think it's safe to say my parts didn't get shipped today. Um, they also did not respond to my message in my support ticket when I said, "Hey, where's my tracking info?" So yeah, some other things that I wanted to point out in this video, now take three, is some things that got missed on the first video. I was pretty frustrated with the whole bearing issue. That there was certain that I didn't really look over the rest of it with a fine tooth comb, and I wish I would have. Which, I mean, really at this point it doesn't matter because this video was necessary anyway due to their responses and lack of response and lack of really support at this point. Uh, yeah. So with that said, I should have audio now. So now you don't just get a picture and a mouse moving around and no audio to explain what the mouse is pointing out. So right here, you see a heat set that's not properly set. Yeah, it's sticking out. It's supposed to be, as you can see, where the other one is. You can't see it, but it's actually recessed where it's supposed to. Um, which even that one is crooked anyway. Doesn't really matter. But you can also see this one is installed crooked. You can see it's below the surface of the plastic right here, and right here it's above the plastic. This one's not as bad, but you can still see it where it's below the surface, whereas this end is above the surface. These outside ones are actually good, at least visually. I never bothered attaching anything to it because why would I? I do not want this on my printer. It's a bag of crap, a literal bag of crap, and I'll explain that here in a second. But these are also crooked as well. You can see, again, well below the surface, and this one's kind of flush to above the surface. Same with this one. Now, when I say it's a literal bag of crap, they sent this box. Let me show you the box that it came in. This box right here. They sent this box, and you can see how crushed and mangled it was. They literally sent it in a bag. It was in a mailer bag, not a box, just in a bag from Sweden to the U.S. in a bag, almost halfway around the globe in a bag. That's how they sent it. That was also something that I didn't point out. Again, I was so frustrated with everything else that I didn't even think to include the shipping material or lack thereof. Now, yes, the inside of it is there's foam. There's foam in there. The parts have pre-cut out spots, as you can see, so it's not the worst packaging. I would actually say it's probably some of the best packaging I've seen. I've Big Tree Tech, they don't package their stuff very well. You get nice, shiny, fancy packaging. You get your cute little rubber ducky, but they don't package things very well. They just kind of toss it in a box, put it in the anti-static bag, and send it from China. Um, I've never gotten one of their boards with any sort of proper packaging other than the anti-static bag. Um, I've gotten drivers where they have jammed the pins into foam, and that was it. That's their idea of packaging. But anyway, we're not here to talk about Big Tree Tech BQ slash Chaotic Labs slash whatever other brand that they are calling themselves, but it's under the same umbrella. We're here to talk about Bondtech and their shitty product that they sent me that cost me almost $300 American. Um, yeah, it sucks. Um, Something else that I wanted to that I did point out in the original video was these marks. Now I did get an explanation from Bontech. Now whether I buy it or not is a completely different story. Um, their explanation, and I unfortunately didn't do a screen grab. I didn't think between all these takes, and right now I'm like, well, you've done enough takes. You should have done screen grabs. Again, frustrated, so my bad. Um, they did give me an explanation. It's part of the manufacturing process. They bore the holes to ensure fitment of the bearings. The bearings they don't include. You get better bearings in the tool head carriage, but you have to reuse the bearings from the Creality kit. Now, why am I going to spend $300 on an upgrade kit and then reuse the old bearings? Why? Um, and if that's your case, and if that's your excuse, okay, fair enough. Your excuse is as part of the manufacturing process, it's to ensure the bearings fit. So clearly during the manufacturing process, you're test fitting parts. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Explain this to me. This is, I removed the retention screw to show the massive gap between the bearing and the tool head carriage, where the bearing seats. Now you can see along this edge, it's nice and tight. Along here, you can see that nice thick gap. With the screw installed, the retention screw, see that screw? Oops, sorry, my fingers were blocking it. Good Lord, I'm a dog shit mess. There's your retention screw. It's installed. Watch this. Oh, it retains nothing. In fact, when I pulled it out of the box originally, the bearing was already out like that. Something, again, I didn't point out in the video because I was more focused on the fact that that retention screw doesn't do anything. Again, there's your screw installed. I can put that bearing right into place. And there's very little friction. I mean, it takes very little effort to pull this bearing in and out. So the second you get any sort of friction between this bearing and the rod that it slides on, that bearing is going to slide right out. So you run the risk of not only ruining whatever print you're doing when that bearing comes out, because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Okay, if you weren't someone who goes through their parts and really takes the time to install stuff correctly, to look everything over, if you're just a regular everyday user who doesn't know any better, and it's not that you're dumb. I'm not saying that anybody's dumb, but there's some people who just rely on the manufacturer to sell them parts that they can just install. So if someone were to just install this on their printer, you can expect that this bearing will come out at some point during a print, and not only ruin the print that you're working on, but also possibly ruining other components in the printer as the tool head then comes off this bearing and holy shitballs, starts to jam up. I mean, you could wreck belts. by the stepper motors, the gears constantly going back and forth on the belt that's now jammed in place. I mean, there's things that could happen, is basically what I'm pointing out. And sorry, my nose is itchy. Good Lord. So yeah, so that right there, just that, and that's just the gantry. You've got improperly installed heat sets. You have a heat set that wasn't even installed all the way. You have a bearing that slides out right past the retention screw. The bearing that was already half out of the tool head when I removed it from the box. So that all made it through QC. This part was manufactured. The heat sets were installed. The bearings were installed. The retention screws were put in and then put in a box and shipped halfway around the globe for $300. Okay. There's that part. You have one of the X carriages. Well, they're both this way. There's no insert for the retention screw. So they're relying on the user. Oh, and there's also, they're not pre-threaded either. So you're reliant on making sure that retention screw goes in properly, that goes in straight. Again, if you're boring these holes out as you claim for proper fitment of the bearing, why are you not then also testing that the retention screw not only goes in, not only installs, pre-threads so the consumer doesn't have to worry about that, but that the retention screw actually does its job. Because clearly, so far, your batting average is pretty poor because the retention screws are not doing their jobs. In fact, the retention screw on the other side of this bearing is installed crooked, so the bearing is not being held in by the bottom of the screw. It's being held on by the side of the screw, because there actually is some play past that screw, and then eventually it jams up into the side of the screw. So you got that. That's what was sent. That's what was sent was garbage. You also have the extruder. This is what you get in a box that cost you $300. Now, anybody who's messed with the tool head of their K1 or K1 Max, you don't have that. You have a wire that is the proper length with the proper connector to plug into the tool head board. You don't have a bundle of wires sitting in the back of your tool head. Nope. But Bontech does. Your $300 kit does. In fact, the video that they posted eventually after me pointing out that, hey, there's no installation instructions for this bag of shit. The video says that you need to zip tie the bundle and then zip tie it to the tool head. Except they don't include any goddamn zip ties. So their official instructions say that this all needs to be zip tied, but they can't be bothered in this $300 kit to include a couple zip ties. That's what you get for $300. And again, for $300, why didn't you just cut the length of the wires and install the proper connector in the first place to make the kit look nice and clean? Because on their website, and I quote, you will make, is your Creality K1 or K1C falling short? You have a way to make it much better. Improve speed, surface quality, versatility, and durability. I don't see any of those things in this kit. Invest 0.5x, half the value of the printer, because it literally is almost half the value of the printer after you pay for shipping, to get 2 times the value. Please explain to me how this kit added 2 times the value of my printer, because if anything, I lost value, because now this thing is going to print crappier if I were to install these parts. The other thing, the line that just makes me giggle like a Japanese schoolgirl. We decided to turn these into competitive systems to make them Bontech upgraded Creality 3D printers that can outperform even their biggest Chinese competitor. We truly believe we did it. They become precious machines after the upgrade. My precious machine is going to look like a crackhead with that little bundle of wire. Hey, camera, I'm right here. There you go. The goods are right here, not down here. Cool it. Insta 360. How dare you? Um, yeah. So uh, that was like when I posted that original video. I don't believe at that time I'd even bothered taking the extruder out. I might have and been so focused on everything else that I didn't notice this. But at the time also, their installation video had not been posted. Uh, so yeah, it wasn't until that video came out where I was like, holy shit, are you serious? I gotta zip tie a bundle of wires to the back of my tool head gantry. Um, I thought the whole point of this kit was to make prints cleaner, to reduce resonance, which adds artifacts and echoing and all sorts of wonderful things into your prints that you don't want. Now, granted, that's not a lot of weight, um, but this is going to add a little bit of vibration, especially when you add um, zip ties and that stuff's moving around and hitting the part. Those little vibrations can become exasperated, especially if you're printing fast. Now, everyone knows, well, I shouldn't say everyone, but most people know the faster you print, the lower the quality gets. But if the whole point, according to them, is to improve quality by being able to also print fast at the same time, this isn't it. This isn't how you go about that. It's just not. That's shit. That's shit quality. Um, and it's definitely not a $300 kit. Um, so, with that said, let me go ahead and point out something I found funny during the whole support ticket process. Um, right here. Emerson, you are right to be angry. We failed with the missing content on the product page. Something we corrected recently. Um, recently, as in they uploaded the video and then sent me this message. The timestamps match. It wasn't recently. They literally uploaded the video and then sent me this message. Um, now, whether they had this video produced ahead of time and somebody did a whoopsie and forgot to add it to the product page, but the reason for this response was I had, in one of my responses or the original ticket was, hey, you included this card with 2 QR codes. One of the QR code takes you to the product page, which has no installation instructions whatsoever. It has a quick start guide, which is completely useless. The only thing that quick start guide does include, which I haven't had a chance to test because, well, I can't install the kit because it's a piece of shit, is they do include updated printer profiles, which I thought was neat, very helpful. And it's for Orca and I want to say Prusa. I think they included Prusa one in there. Again, I don't know. I forgot and too lazy to look at it right now. And then they also give you initial settings for your rotational distance for the extruder. Again, great, thank you. But none of that does me any good if what you sent me is unusable. So, yeah. The problem with the retention screws may be caused by the fact we published no instructions. Yes, that's right. They're blaming the lack of function on the retention screws and the poor QC on the fact they didn't provide installation instructions. Now, you can go watch the video on their channel. At no point does it ever discuss, point out, or explain anything that has to do with the retention screws, adjustment of the bearings, none of that. So right off the bat, they're not willing to take blame. They're not willing to admit that they sent a subpar product. Excuse me. And I shouldn't even say subpar. It's just it's a flat out poor quality product. This should have never been sent to me or anyone else, and it did. And someone else had the issues, and I'll point that out here in a second. That's what they're blaming the poor quality of their parts and the inability for the retention screw to do its job is because they didn't post the video on how to install the product. Yes, that's what they're blaming. Yeah. In case you have further trouble with the installation or the product, we will devote a Bontech engineer to assist you and replace any subpar part you may have received. They're all subpar parts. I included pictures in my ticket. The parts needed to be replaced, so I pointed that out. And I also asked, what in the hell does not posting this video have to do with the fact that the retention screw does not do its job? That was ignored. That was not acknowledged. So then I was told they're going to be sending me replacement parts and that they're going to include a label or email me a label to send the bad parts back. Fair enough. I have no problem with that, especially since you're paying for it. If you want me to pay for it, get bent, it's not happening. But they were telling me, hey, we're going to provide you labels. Please send us back the bad parts. Absolutely. Absolutely. No problem. No problem. So then the day goes by. I don't have tracking information. So I say, hey, where's my parts? Where's my tracking information? And this was a fantastic response that I got back. Again, it just shows you the attitude of Bondtech. And how they handle their customers, how they handle their support tickets, and their lack of accountability for releasing such shit. We need the replaced parts shipped back to us in order to explain them. Not sure what that means. In order to explain them. I don't, okay. I understand this is Sweden. I understand English isn't their first language, so I'm used to dealing with the Chinese, have been dealing with Chinese manufacturers for close to 22, 23 years now. I understand language barriers. I understand certain things don't translate, so I'm not trying to be a petty prick, but I really not quite sure what they mean by in order for us to explain them. You got high resolution pictures of the parts. You should be able to explain yourselves as far as why they're so crappy. And really, at that point, I don't need an explanation as to why they're crappy, because what I want is an explanation as to why me and other people were sent these parts to begin with. And again, someone else, I do have confirmation someone else got just as shitty parts as I did. So I'm not the only one. I'm sure him and I are not the only ones. But I'm also not confident that too many people bought this kit to begin with. We'll see. I haven't found too many videos on it to begin with on YouTube other than theirs and mine. So, yeah, that's, oof. Yeah. So anyway, to my knowledge, we did not promise a time for this shipment to be sent out. As of now, we are aiming for Friday or Monday, since we are producing a new batch of parts in order to make sure you get the best possible experience with your kit going forward. If there is anything else we can help with, don't hesitate to ask. Well, I asked and you did not respond. And that question was today, where are my parts? Where's the tracking information? Didn't get a response, didn't get tracking information. Again, it's now 1 a.m. tomorrow in Sweden. And I have nothing. Yeah, so that's where I'm at. I have a box, a $300 box of crappy parts that are unusable, that are uninstallable. And I'm not the only one. This was a reply to my original video. Your box looks better than mine did. Mine was torn apart inside that bag. I haven't had a minute to look any of the parts yet. Maybe I should. So again, I'm not the only one who also got my box sent in a bag. Now, why you would think any shipper, and Amazon's notorious for doing this too, why anyone would think something other than clothing, any sort of textile, aka cloth, blanket, towel, pillow, anything soft, anything other than that should be put into a box is beyond me. Why you would put a box of sensitive parts No matter how well they're packaged to begin with, why you would think that would be acceptable to put them in a plastic bag to ship halfway around the globe uh, is beyond me. I paid for shipping. I paid for this product. I was not solicited, other than your typical advertisements. As far as Bontech, physically someone from Bontech reaching out to me and saying, "Hey, we'd like you to purchase this product. We're offering you a discount if you." Nothing like that. I did this all on my own. No one paid me to do this. I paid for these parts to put on my printer to use in hopes that I could get a little bit more quality. And to be honest with you, the K1 Max, the print quality isn't that bad. It's really not. Um, I'm not a huge fan of the stock hot end, although the stock hot end isn't that bad for what you're getting it for. Um, my K1 Max has a micro Swiss, and my two K1s right there. Those have the Triangle Lab hot ends. Um, those alone made a big difference in print quality. Um, and I don't print that fast to begin with. Some of my ABS parts I print a little fast because the parts that I print for my customer, um, they don't need to be super visually. They don't need to be pristine, because these parts are installed in a place where they're actually not seen. Now, obviously, I want them to be quality. I want layer adhesion to be as best as it can be, but I can sacrifice a little bit of the visual quality to print a little bit faster, um, because just the visual aspects are not required. Um, but with that said, I was also hoping to get rid of any sort of artifacting or ringing or anything else in parts that I do want to print that do need better quality, and hopefully be able to get a little bit of extra speed as well. You can't do that with this kit, not with these parts they sent me. This is a downgrade. This is not a kit that's offering me extra value into my printer. It's dragging the value down. It's dragging the quality of the prints down. And by a company that isn't willing to admit, hey, we screwed up pretty bad. This is unacceptable. Um, we're definitely going to have some talks with our internally. We're going to set some new QC. None of that. It was, no, we're going to blame it on the fact we didn't post a goddamn video on how to install it. Are you serious? Come on now. And then to turn around and be snarky. Well, we didn't promise you a date. We'll get to it. We're going to produce new parts, and it should go out Friday or Monday. Okay, so what's your excuse now? It's Monday evening. I have nothing. I wasn't expecting my parts to be here today. What I was expecting was a tracking number, so I knew you were holding up your end of the deal by sending me replacement parts. And the reason why they didn't go out last week was because you had to produce new parts. And if you weren't able to fulfill that by today, I have why didn't I get a response today on A, where's my tracking information? And B, I shouldn't have to, because by the end of the working day, if you're unable to produce the parts at this point, you did promise, without, obviously you didn't use the word promise, but let's be real here. You said Friday or Monday. It's now Monday. It's the end of the day. Hey, shit, these parts aren't ready. Let's go ahead and open up this customer's ticket, who we have acknowledged they've posted a video online. They've acknowledged other people who have commented on it. So clearly this is an issue. And let them know, hey, we're having some production issues. We're running behind. Whatever the excuse is, your parts aren't going out today. It's going out on this day instead. No, you couldn't be bothered to even do that. So you blamed the poor quality parts on the fact you didn't post a stupid video. You then got snarky about when you were shipping the parts out. And then strike three, you couldn't be bothered to update me on what was going on with my parts. That's Bontech. And there's no excuse for it. I don't want an excuse. What I want are the parts that I paid for. That I overpaid for, really. Because hindsight's a real bitch, and looking back, I shouldn't have bought this. I was on the fence. I was going back and forth, and I decided, you know what, it's more than I think it's worth, but it's Bondtech. I'm gonna order it anyway because I know it's gonna be quality stuff. And to get this bag in the mail from Sweden to open it up to see a crushed box, to then see parts that are just so piss poor, and to see this, to see that, come on, like what the hell. I responded to him saying what to check. I included things in that I didn't make the original video. He responded eventually, clear a day later, as you can see. I finally got a chance to go through and check my parts out. The carriage bearing was fully out of the carriage. The retention screw does nothing to hold it in place. So, right off the bat, he had the same exact issue I had. The exact same issue. So, as far as I'm concerned, this is no longer a coincidence. This is a problem with that part, period. Because it's the exact same thing is happening. They knew this part was flawed. They had to have. There's no way. You cannot tell me you manufactured this part, you pre-fit the parts or the pieces to make sure that the used bearings fit in these, and you didn't see the shitty installed heat sets or the fact that your retention screws don't hold the damn bearing in place. One of the rods doesn't slide very well in the bearing. It gets hung up like the rod is damaged. I gave up looking after that because I decided I'm not willing to put this on my printer. If there is something else wrong with that I haven't yet identified and I end up installing it, I'm going to lose it. Honestly, even if the packaging was perfect and the parts weren't all jacked up, this isn't a $260 upgrade. I 100% agree. 100% agree. This was not worth $260 plus the shipping, which put it at $280. It was not worth that. At best, in the way the parts were intended to be, it's half that after shipping. This is not $260 worth of parts. I should not be paying almost $300 and have to reuse old shitty bearings from the printer, or not have parts that don't have heat sets or even pre-tapped. I should not have to zip tie and make my printer look janky versus the way it was when it came stock from Creality, from the factory. And I also agree with him that I wasn't willing to put this on my printer. And I personally, I didn't check the rods. I didn't get that far. Like he said, I didn't go any further because there was no point. And I agree. I didn't bother checking my rods because I didn't get that far in the install process. I didn't get anywhere in the install process because the parts are screwed. So for all I know, my rods are messed up or the bearings are, who knows? But I'm not the only one to have this issue. This kit sucks. It's not worth the $260 plus shipping from Sweden. And they don't support it. They don't back their product. They just make excuses. I'm exhausted. I'm frustrated. This is the third time I've done this. Hopefully it turns out. If it doesn't turn out right, whatever. I'm just leaving it up at this point. People get. I hope everybody gets the point of what I'm trying to put out there, what I'm trying to express. Somehow I have managed to make this video longer each time I've done it. The first time it was 26 minutes. The last time it was just over 28. Now I'm at 33. Wow. I don't know if 33 minutes was, if there was a point of doing it this long. I don't know. It just felt like there was so much to say about this kit that missed the original just over 5 minute video. And hell, I might even be missing things, and I'm definitely rambling at this point, but I'm frustrated. Please don't buy this kit. It's not ready. I've Google searched this kit. I've YouTube searched this kit. Their video comes up, my video comes up, and I don't really get anything else other than kind of like pre-launch videos. And that's it. I haven't checked today, so I could be wrong. Maybe more people are starting to get their kits, and maybe the big time streamers have gotten these kits and have posted things as of later this afternoon. I don't know. I mean, The kit started shipping last week, so I would assume by now the big guys in the 3D printing community and the streamers have gotten their kits, probably got theirs before mine, if they actually wasted the money and the time to get them, and would have done videos. So I don't really know. But I don't trust Bontech. Oh, piss off, fly, go away. Um, I don't trust them. I don't at this part. I really lack confidence that I'm actually going to get the parts that I was told I was going to get, the replacements. I'm probably going to have to initiate a chargeback with my credit card company tomorrow, which sucks. Um, I my family's always had a small business. I have a small business myself. I understand credit card processing and the fees and what chargebacks can do to those fees. Um, so I'm not trying to be malicious or whatever the correct way to pronounce that is. But they left me no choice. Um, I'm not trying to get my money back so I can get a kit for free, because there's no way in hell I'm installing any part of this on my printer. I just won't. I'm trying to improve the quality of my printer, not make it worse. And by installing this kit, I will guarantee myself a shittier printing experience over stock. So, yeah, um, don't buy this kit. It's not ready. I don't think it'll ever be ready. Um, it's not worth it. I would say if they dropped the price $100 and included shipping, sure. But the parts would have to be right. The bearings would have to be included in the whatever the hell they call this part. Because there's no reason for them not to be at that price. Whether it's 150 or they keep it at the 250. I should not be reusing old parts when the whole point of this is to upgrade that gantry and all this. Yeah. If you don't notice the logo right there, I'm used to streaming with Tim over at TH3D, Tim and Tor. So that's why it's taken me 3 tries to get this right. I'm used to them setting all this stuff up and everything just working. This is my first time on my own. The last video was shot with my Pixel 8. This is actually shot with my streaming camera and my headset and all that stuff, and you get to see my ugly bald mug. But yeah, go check out Tim over at TH3D, th3dstudio.com, or oh Christ, sorry Tim, I'm sitting here plugging your business, and yeah, it's TH3D Studio, not studios, th3dstudio.com. Great products. He's a great guy. I've known him for quite a few years now. We actually met through the 3D printing community. I started off as a customer of his, and somehow I don't even remember how we got to talking outside of business, but become a really good friend of mine. I stream with him almost every Friday now, him and Tor. I still continue to buy his products because they're good quality products. He stands behind them, and he doesn't sell you junk. He tests his stuff out before he releases it. The customer is not a beta tester, like clearly we are with Bondtech. He's the beta tester. He's the alpha tester. What you get from him is stuff that's been tested and proven beforehand. So check him out. Check out his YouTube channel. It's YouTube TH3D. It'll come up. You'll see my ugly ass face on there most Fridays. But yeah, thanks everybody for whoever watches this. And again, please don't buy this kit. It's not only is it not ready, but it's from a brand who just doesn't stand behind it. And it really sucks that they're doing this to this community. I enjoy 3D printing, and I hate as a consumer and even as a small business owner when a company puts people through this, because it's disgusting, it's deplorable, and there's no reason for it. Especially in this day and age, you release a subpar product, people are going to know about it. The word's going to get out. So what have you done for yourself? There's plenty of consumer protections out there, like the chargeback process to get my money back, which then screws you over not only increases your rates, especially once you start getting multiple chargebacks, but then it gets to the point where no credit card companies will even deal with you at that point. So why do it? What's the point? Clearly, you released a subpar product. You have no QC. Own it. Own it. So, yeah. Have a good evening, everyone. Sorry if you got alerts for the 40 people who are subscribed to this channel. But sorry for everyone who may have gotten multiple alerts. Again, the whole reason why is I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm trying. I'm learning as I go. Hopefully this gets better as I go. Yeah, so thanks, guys and gals and everybody else.